How did the shutdown and the post shutdown go for the Republican Party? Not well, judging by the election results. More importantly, what happens to the most fragile group in our society, those below the poverty line who are hungry? What happened to their SNAP payments? What happened to their funding? Why did the Supreme Court block it? What happens now that the government is reopened? I cover it all on The Intersection. And with your help, The Intersection, my new podcast on Tuesday nights, is now in the top 25 of all podcasts on YouTube's weekly rankings. And I appreciate you all for that. And here is a clip. On one hand, he's running to the United States Supreme Court for permission to starve Americans, including veterans, all below the poverty line in red states and in blue states, but mainly in red states. He thinks that he's getting political wind at his back for doing that most inhumane of things. See, we like our presidents to have a heart, and heartless presidents are soon shown the door. At the same time, he's abusing veterans who, along with seniors and children and babies and the disabled below the poverty line, count on that average of $350 a month to pay for food. He runs to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, and he demands to be able to abuse and physically assault and beat veterans, clergy, members of the media, and First Amendment protesters. He's trying to get out from under a new federal order which just makes federal forces comply with the Constitution and not use unreasonable force. Literally an order that says, don't use your car to hit protesters and journalists and clergy and veterans who are on the streets protesting against the lawlessness of the Trump administration. Don't fire rubber bullets at them. Don't hit them with pepper ball and tear gas. Don't tackle them from behind. And the Trump administration's like, we don't like that. We want the right to do all of those things. Let's run to the Seventh Circuit. So we're going to talk about what's going on at the United States Supreme Court with the SNAP program, as the government may or may not open. I'm not so sure the government is opening in the next 24 to 48 hours. Hakeem Jeffries and the House are up in arms against the senators like Chuck Schumer who have betrayed the cause. The fight here was to keep the government closed unless Donald Trump finally capitulated and agreed to lower insurance payments by making sure that Obamacare and Affordable Care Act was affordable with tax credits so that your health care coverage didn't double and triple. So fighting for the middle class, the working poor of America, focused on the kitchen table politics that Tuesday night told us the Democrats are right to focus on, whether in New York by way of a progressive social democrat or in New Jersey or Virginia by way of a set of moderates, all focused, laser focused on the economy. It's the economy, stupid. And Donald Trump, of course, not doing any of those things. So I'm not sure the government is reopening that fast. Either way, we need the Supreme Court to rule. By the time we're together here, while I'm with you, we could be getting a Supreme Court ruling. I'm going to have to update it, probably on Legal AF Substack Live. It's could come in late tonight. This Supreme Court's known for its 1 a.m. orders. Tariffs and Donald Trump are back in the news, mainly because Donald Trump finally woke up and figured out that his lawyer got his ass handed to him at the United States Supreme Court. I'm talking about the Solicitor General, John Sauer, in arguing that tariffs weren't revenue producing and therefore weren't taxes and therefore were something that a president can do under his foreign affairs and Article 2 powers, which led to a lot of head scratching by Trump appointees like Amy Coney Barrett and the Chief Justice John Roberts, and even Gorsuch, who all said, this looks like revenue producing policy to me, and that looks like a tariff. A tariff as a tax, and a tax has to be passed by two chambers of Congress and signed by a president. So there was a 12:37 a.m. freakout session by Donald Trump we'll cover here now that I have you on the edge of your seat. And touch on the pardons. 77. I'm not talking about the crazy ones like people convicted of fraud who have been let go. People have cheated in athletic races that have been pardoned. Darryl Strawberry of the New York Mets, pardoned. Talking about the 77 people who participated in the attempted overthrow of democracy, fraudulently sending in fake elector certificates in order to jam up and gum up the works of a peaceful transfer. And the lawyers that supported Donald Trump, who were all, many of which were indicted on state level. They've now been cleared of federal crimes with a pardon. I'll talk to you about why I think that was done. And we'll talk about this new reporting coming out of the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. No surprise. Once again, Donald Trump has purged a cabinet level position and an administrative level position of its watchdogs, of its ethicist, chief ethics officer, gone. Chief legal officer, general counsel, gone. Chief inspector general, gone, of Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac, when they turned around as insiders, as whistleblowers, probing Bill Pulte and how he got his hands on all that private financial information that he sliced and diced and edited and misrepresented to the American people to try to publicly shame Adam Schiff, a senator, New York Attorney General Tish James, and a member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve about mortgage fraud. How did he get his hands on it? He should not have been able to slice and dice and edit and mischaracterize private financial documents. And that's what those people were looking at, and they've been fired. I want to talk about that as well. We're here on The Intersection. I do the show once a week on Tuesday nights. Yes, the brothers finally gave me a show. And I really appreciate you all being here. It's done better than even my wildest imaginations. Several 100,000 people a week listen to it, watch it, and help support all that I do on Legal AF. I do 40 videos a week at the intersection of law and politics on Midas and on Legal AF. I curate the Legal AF YouTube channel, which has a dozen contributors. We do 10 or more videos a day. I'm on a few podcasts. Legal AF, you might have heard of, The Intersection, of course. But without your fervent support and the vibrancy of this community, the support of this community, we'd be nothing without you. And so I do appreciate each and every one of you who tune in here, help us continue to grow what we're doing here. Let people know about the audio version of The Intersection. You can pick it up there and listen to it at your leisure. And of course, right here on YouTube. Welcome to the people that are here with us on Veterans Day, Tuesday night. All right, let's jump into it. We've got, let me update you on everything related to SNAP, what used to be called food stamps. It's the anti-hunger program. 1 in 8 Americans, 42 million Americans, 16 million children. Just think of those numbers in the most successful economic country in the world, that we have 1 in 8 who are below the poverty line and need federal assistance just to have the dignity of being able to know where their next meal is coming from. Food security, it's called. And a lot of fast-moving parts here. It is now up at the United States Supreme Court. The First Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the order of Judge McConnell related to ordering that the full $8 billion in November payments were rapidly moving to Thanksgiving and beyond, but that the full $8 billion be paid. Trump administration paid $5 billion, then tried to claw it back over the weekend with conflicting memos. And then on top of that, some states got the full $5 billion, their portion of it out. Some states, a lot of red states didn't. And now we're hearing, because I just interviewed Rob Bonta, the Attorney General of California, that some merchants aren't even accepting fully funded cards that have the benefit on it for fear that they're committing a crime. Which means human beings are worrying about how to feed themselves and those in their family who are the most disadvantaged Americans, most fragile population in America. Donald Trump doesn't care about that. He's made them cheap political pawns in the shutdown showdown. Yeah. And a lot of them are his own voters. Talk about people voting against their interests. And I will remind Donald Trump and the Trump administration, they may be poor, they may be below the poverty line, but they are Americans and they vote. And so the First Circuit made its ruling. Then after the First Circuit, or on the same day, the First Circuit supported with a scathing decision against the Trump administration, saying, pay the $8 billion. You've got the way to do it. You've got the means to do it, supporting Judge McConnell. Then Judge Talwani in Massachusetts, in a companion case brought by the 23 attorneys general, she entered a temporary restraining order, blocking, until she has a hearing, blocking the weekend attempts to claw back the $5 billion, and now has entered the temporary restraining order related to that. Now we move to the United States Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown Jackson found a way to box Trump in. She gave the First Circuit less than 2 days to make their decision. They made the decision against the Trump administration. She then was about to lift her stay. She has now full briefing up at the United States Supreme Court about whether there's going to be a stay now for the duration of an appeal. And of course, the states and others are opposing it. We're going to get a ruling. Are there 5 votes in the next 24 hours to deny Americans that which they should be entitled to, which is food security and dignity? And is the Supreme Court so heartless and so callous that they would cut off at holiday time the ability for families just to survive and make ends meet? Are there 5 votes for that? I'm looking at you, Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, and Gorsuch, because this is the time for you to stand up for the most underprivileged group in American society and protect them the way only a Supreme Court can. And while I know Ketanji Brown Jackson will issue a scathing dissent, I don't want a scathing dissent. I want a 5-4, 6-3, 8-1, whatever it's going to be decision that makes sure these people get the money they're entitled to. Could the government reopen in the next 3 days? Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of fighting going on. I'm not sure Chuck Schumer survives. I'm not sure he should survive. It's the second time he capitulated. I didn't like what happened with the big, beautiful bill, that bullshit bill. And that was Democrats bending over, including Chuck Schumer. And they did it again. You know, at some point, the Democratic Party has to be heard. I thought Tuesday night sent the message. I don't think Chuck Schumer and the old guard got the message. You know, whether it's a progressive ideal or a moderate ideal, but we have to get back to the basics of what it means to be in the Democratic Party and what it means to oppose the Trump administration. So I'm not sure when it's going to reopen. Welcome back. Every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on the Midas Touch Network is The Intersection. Join us there. Continue to follow us on audio platforms like Google and Spotify and Apple, and also on YouTube. Leave a comment. Become a part of this new audience. And of course, support Legal AF YouTube channel by hitting the free subscribe button as we march towards 1 million subscribers in just about a year of existence. It's all a compliment to you. We appreciate you. Come over to Legal AF Substack, become a member there as well. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.